All right, here we go. Welcome to Temple of Truth. My name is Jeremy, and today it is Saturday, July 23rd, 2022, and it is roughly almost 8 p.m. here on the East Coast. So I hope you had a beautiful Saturday if you are just winding down, or if you're on the West Coast and you still got a few hours of that good sunshine. Don't let them trick you. Enjoy it safely. Of course, we've always needed a little shade, a little water, a sprinkler, swimming pool. It is summer, but don't be afraid to go outside and enjoy yourself. Um, what I'm going to start doing here on live streams on this channel, what I would like to do is um, schedule some live streams and do a watch party where we get together and we watch a video or two, depending on the length of the video, um, that has to do with the temple, how it works, the connection we have with nature, the universe, so things like diet, meditation, alchemy, all sorts of different things. That's what I would like to go ahead and do from now moving forward. Something we might be able to do nightly for an hour or two every night. We get together and we go ahead and do um, some learning together. And then afterwards, we can review, we can comment, we can dissect, cross examine, whatever you want to do. So if you catch this after the live, and it just happens to be just me, this is the first stream today, so I'm just going to go for it. And it might just be me watching a video today, and that might bore you, but you also might just watch the video and get something out of it. So I was thinking of watching a gentleman by the name of Bill Donahue, and a couple of his videos are already on my timeline, so I can go to his channel.
What do I
Let me
want?
pause that so you're not getting anything in your ear. I had a specific one that I was hoping to find, and because I accidentally had it on my other channel, I gotta look for it real quick. So again, it's just me right now. There's no one, no one here. So what I am gonna do while it's just me, I'm gonna tweet it out. Oh man, what a beautiful day. Oh, I'm just sitting here tweeting my stream out. If anyone has joined, welcome in. If not, saying hello to you in the future, because yes, I'm a time traveler. No, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. All right, there we go. All right, got some new followers on Twitter. The new Twitter account is starting to jump off there a little bit. I'm grateful for that. Okay. I was hoping to find the one that's labeled pineal gland. So, bear with me and I'll find this real quick. I highly recommend watching every single one of this guy's videos. This guy is phenomenal at explaining the deeper meanings of the Bible, the allegory and parable that so many people get hung up on the literal transitions and they don't bother to go any further. Copy 19 seconds of opinion of the Bible stoning. That's not the one, but we might watch that if I can't find the other one. I'm just enjoying scrolling through all these real quick. And this was kind of a test run tonight anyway, so tomorrow hopefully we can get in here. Psychedelic Vanilla, Bible stoning. I wonder if I just type in sometimes, Jeremy, you'll take to my talking to the pineal. Here we go. Okay. So, this was the video I was going to watch today.
The ancient Egyptians understood that they could use sound to reduce their weight.
Studying this closely.
All right, enjoy the
Because
video.
of the fact that we found in the Old Testament in Numbers chapter 23, verse 19, and in 1 John, a statement or two statements that were really significant to all of us as people who have been kind of following religious journeys all of our life. In the book of Numbers, it identifies God, and it says God is not a man. And that's something that we haven't really dwelled upon a lot as people and going to church, because we've been praying to a man, and we've been asking a father and all this stuff, and all of a sudden our eyes are drawn to this statement: what you're calling God is not a man, not a human. Not a human. And so then we start thinking, goodness gracious, how do we communicate? And if it's not a human, what is it? So then we look in the New Testament, and it comes back, and he said, God is light. Well, once this is made clear, it opens up a whole new thing about what does light do, how does light impact us, and then we find that NASA puts out a paper we've been studying.
Okay, so I do want to chime in and say that obviously God is everything. I don't want to get people scared about New Age interpretation or anything like that. God is everything, okay? What I think it's trying to relay, or the interpretation to my understanding, would be God communicates through you to you through light. Light is a visible thing. Light can be programmed. There's so much about light that we're still discovering. Its healing factors and all sorts of different things. So it's not that God is light necessarily. It's that's how God comes to you to be heard, and when you do your proper meditating and stuff like that, to be seen. It comes in as light into your receptor, and then you have an image, an experience through the DMT.
Studying for several weeks that they are now developing optical computers run by light, that can do in 1 hour what a computer today would take 11 years to do. And that this light, they have found that in order to make this work, they use membrane, organic tissue, living human tissue. And so now we're reaching the stage of proving the fact that light, God, coming down from above on an angle of light, an angel of light, a messenger particle, or as scientists say, a photon, can actually enter into our bodies and change logic circuits, change the way we think, change the way we feel. So it really becomes a very, very interesting thing. So we started then studying in depth the pineal gland of the brain. And the pineal gland plays a very prominent part in the Bible, because Jesus says, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light, which we now know is God. And then Jacob says, I have seen God face to face, and I'll call the place Peniel. So we have the Old Testament telling us God is not a man. We have the New Testament telling us God is light. We have the New Testament saying, if your eye be single. And we have the Old Testament saying, I've seen God, it's at the Peniel. And then we had René Descartes, the 1600s philosopher from France, who tells us that the place where God meets you inside of your body is the pineal gland of the brain. So then we spent a week or two analyzing this pineal gland of the brain, and we found that it is inhibited by light. See, in a like an animal like a what do you call, like a salamander or one of these vertebrates that hang out in the swamps and so forth, their pineal gland is open and closed by light or the lack of light. But in a human being, it's attached to your eyes. So you regulate it. It then becomes up to you, see, if you're going to go into a dark place and close your eyes, or if you're going to open your eyes, and in which case the pineal would shut down. In either case, it's going to secrete melatonin at around 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. So we function with the pineal gland. And what my concern about all of this is this. Okay, we know that light comes down from above on an angle, and it's been doing that for millions of years. And we know that people have been meditating for thousands of years, at least hundreds. And the world's still pretty much of a mess. So what has been missing? What can you do as a human being to place yourself into a harmony with this light? Because we've proved by NASA, in a statement that they said electrons are attracted by photons and vice versa. Well, if a photon is an angle of light from above, God, and if the electron is in the pineal gland and you stimulate that, then you are attracting an angle of light, or you are attracting an angel of God. But how do you do this? And can you do it? I mean, Jesus says, if your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Fine. So we're talking about stimulating the pineal gland. Can you do that? Is it possible for you to do that? I mean, is walking into a dark room enough? Well, walking into a dark room will open the pineal gland, yes. But I mean, people have been walking into dark rooms forever, and it doesn't seem to have stimulated anything necessarily positive. Gosh, I mean, if we look at the brutalization of people in different parts of the world's a mess. It's not a mess for me. I've got a nice house, got a nice wife, got beautiful cars, got all of this stuff, go to Atlantic City and eat chocolate and do, not as much as I used to, but do all this stuff. I'm having a good time. But while I'm having a good time, I know that there are kids and people in different places in the world that are living in cardboard and starving, and all of these terrible things happen. When I'm having a good time, I see pictures on television of the brutalization of little dogs and cats and greyhounds and all this. What the heck is this? So I'm having a good time and I'm enjoying it, but a vast amount of life has been terribly brutalized. So something is wrong. Something is wrong. How do I change it? Can I change it? How do I change myself? How do you start to flow in a harmony with this photon, with this angel of light, with God? So we studied then, if there is going to be one place in your body, it is not going to be in your heart, it's not going to be in your hand, it's not going to be in your elbow, it's going to be in your pineal gland, because that's the light receptor of the body. So if what we want to happen, if what is going to happen is what you've been trying to make happen all of these years going to church, then it's going to have to center here. And we've got scriptural proof of that. We've got the proof of the Bible in the Old Testament, which says, I shall call the place pineal. We've got the proof of the Bible in the New Testament, which says, practice the single eye. We've got the statement of Rene Descartes, who said that's where the soul and the body meet in your body. It's in the pineal gland. And Rene Descartes was not just a philosopher. Rene Descartes gave us the basis of our theory of light, the laws of reflection and refraction. So, I mean, he was an extremely competent witness. But how do we activate the pineal gland? What can you do to start flowing in a harmony, especially in this time of Eta Carina, this great star that is sending down DNA?
I'm going to pause it right there for a second, because I know there's a lot of flat earthers out there that immediately they hear anything about NASA or space and they immediately think that whatever other information surrounding the discussion is going to they're gonna put up a a shield. They're gonna tune it out. I want you to open your mind about the waters above, and just because there is waters above does not mean that there aren't amazing things in those waters or above those waters. We do not stop investigating or stop learning just because we learn of one thing. Look at our oceans and all the investigating that has been done, and we haven't even touched the surface of our own oceans below us, the own waters below us. And you have amazing creatures and huge, coral reefs and glowing jellyfish and all sorts of different things. So when he talks about, these luminary objects exploding, why can't a luminary object explode in water or above that water? And light can travel through water. So we have to try and continue to look at everything: science, religion, nature, astrology, everything. We have astronomy. We have to look at it all and keep pulling things from every area, using that synchronicity. So I don't want to scare any of the flat earthers or hollow earthers or anything like that. Anyone that believes space is completely nothing but just water. We know that obviously the deceit in the mainstream narrative in our history is absolutely insane. We are definitely digging through all of that and putting together our truths back in order, putting our truths back in order, I should say. So, don't dismiss everything right away. Let's keep an open mind. It's just like when I talk about flat and hollow Earth, one and the same. It's one and the same. Okay? They're both. There's huge underground civilizations, most likely, and you can still have, a non-spherical spinning globe. Okay, so you can have, both versions be accurate. So just wanted to throw that disclaimer in there. Enjoy the rest of the video.
And changing the DNA. I mean, my God, in Canada last week, I don't know if you read about this, they cured 13 people of type 1 diabetes. Not made them feel better, cured it. Now, there's a hang-up to that. They have to take this medicine that stops rejection. But the point is, they've cured. I mean, and the doctors from the Sloan Kettering Cancer Institute in New York say that disease as we know it will not exist in 5 years. That cancer will be gone in 5 years. I mean, and I've told this to one person, said, well, I would think.
One more quick disclaimer. Just so you guys are aware, these videos were made like 30-some years ago. This was I believe, early 90s. A lot of these videos talks about the Clinton administration and stuff like that. So just think about all of the things that we have been able to add to the puzzle through the information age and sharing and the cosmic DNA upgrade and, all our earth angels waking up and sharing truth that is returning to them via meditation, the ether, God's gift. Just remember that. So, lot of things have happened since these videos, and man, just if Bill Donahue was still rocking videos right now, could you only imagine the kind of stuff that he'd be putting together? Because he did an amazing job with his work.
50. What do you mean you would think 50? These are scientists from Sloan Kettering that say 5. I'm going with that. But what's happening? How come they're learning all of these things about DNA, about genetics, and they're learning? Let's stop trying to kill cancer cells. Let's find the switch and turn it off. You see, let me tell you something. There are some people that say, well, I think, like Rene Descartes said, I think, therefore I am, and I create this life on the basis of my thoughts. You, as this angle of light that nested in your mother's womb at birth or, gestation period, you're one part of the thought process. You share your body with others who are also in their thinking. You think, oh, I'm going to live, I'm going to I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and do the other thing. And there are cells inside of your body that are thinking, we're going to go over here. And when they go over there, you're going to get very sick. So, and the reason they're going over there instead of staying over here where they belong is because they're reading your DNA, and your DNA is screwed up. And your DNA is saying, go over there instead of stay here. So inside of a human body, there are other people, if you wish to call them that, who are plotting things, planning things, and going to act these things out, regardless of what you think. And you know what's going to happen then? When they do what they do, then your thinking is going to change.
And this is clearing out your demons, getting your house in order, however you want to look at it. This is what it's talking about. This is, checking your demons, getting your demons in check, just getting your temple in order. So many people, they get confused by these literal interpretations. And I am not here to say that there was not a Jesus walking the earth or anything like that. It doesn't affect today, right now, with what we're doing, to try and argue something that just cannot be proven. That is a choice of faith, and that's why they call it faith. What I try and deal with are the things that we can actually implement to be like the Christ, to be that person. To try and emulate those actions of kindness and love and generosity, not coming from a place of fear of punishment, coming from a place of desire to just be that, because you've already been through your own hell. You've already gone to hell. You've already risen from the ashes. You know what it's like to feel like that. You know what it's like to be looked upon like that. You know what it's like to walk to earth as a rejected one. And you want to just, out of a place of love and compassion, you want to be, not because you're afraid of fire and brimstone. You're not because you're afraid of getting thrown into a burning pit of hell. These are not the reasons to turn to Christ and say that you've accepted Christ or that the Christ within you has risen. It cannot come from a place of fear. It has to come from a place of love. Christ is love.
Totally. All of a sudden, you're going to wake one day, when I say you, I'm not, but all of a sudden somebody then wakes one day and somebody goes to a doctor because they don't quite feel well. Why? Because other things inside of you decided on something that you had nothing to do with, and it made you sick. So you're not the only one inside of that body thinking. And when they decide on something different for you, then the doctor said, well, I hate to tell you this, but what? What the heck how could this happen? Because some other living entity inside of your body decided to do something. And the reason that living entity inside of your body decided to do something was because you have a DNA and it's A, B, C, D, but in there it was A, B, F, C, and the cells read this instead of reading that, and so they went over here when they should have stayed here, and it screwed everything up. So now, the scientists are finding out all of a sudden, hey, wait a minute. You know how we can heal this cancer? You know how we can heal this Alzheimer's? You know how we can heal this diabetes? Let's do this. Let's find out how we can reboot this thing. Do you ever reboot a computer? Computer doesn't work. It's all screwed up. Everything, hey, what the heck is this? I can't get this to work. I'm hitting the thing. Shut it off. And you shut it off and turn it back on again. It's fine. So let's do something, because the cells are reading this and thinking that they should be here when they shouldn't be here. Let's get rid of this. Let's clean it out. You see, that when you went to church when you were a little kid, they used to say everybody's born with original sin. You know what it is? It's screwed up DNA is exactly what they were talking about. They didn't know they were talking about that, but that's what they were talking about. Mutant DNA.
Ancestral trauma, generational trauma, past life trauma. nature, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? Makes a lot of sense. We can, and the best way to reboot your system, the true way, which should be done once a year, is a 40-day fast. Probably best time is during the winter, if you ask me, because you're already worried about rationing and things like that. It's probably, to go into a spiritual fast, um, and trust in the Most High to get you through those times. Probably a great time to do that. I've always thought that might be one of the better times. But the fasting, the best way to reboot your system, meditation, the pineal gland, um, is another way. Another way that you can, mini reboots. But if you ever have anything really serious going on, something, God forbid, terminal or something like that, fasting. Look into it. 40-day water fast. There's a clinic out California. They've been proving in court that they're curing cancer and all sorts of stuff. I mean, multiple cases proved in court that they're doing this through fasting and letting the body reboot and heal itself from within.
So we'll get rid of that. And now not only will the disease stop, because these cells will stop multiplying, and they'll say, whoa, wait a minute. We shouldn't be over here. Let's get back where we belong. And that's the end of that. So this is what they're finding, and these are the wonderful things. So we want to start to flow in a harmony, because the reason that the scientists are finding all this stuff out is that they are having gates in their brains opened by light coming from above. And it's opening the gates and giving them understanding. So we focus then on, let's focus on the pineal gland of the brain, because that is the place, that is the light receptor of the brain. And that's why I encourage you to come out in meditation, for your children's sake. I mean, you want your kids to have, you want you to have this. This is the time to do it. And I would suggest you come out of here. You come in, this room gets absolutely pitch black. And when it's pitch black and dark in here and the sounds, you then focus on the pineal gland. It opens, and you receive the angels of light to change what must be changed and to correct what must be corrected. But the point is, and you have a right to ask me this question, is it possible to do that? Now, let me just show you something from Dr. Alfred Louis, which was taken from the New York Times in overhead 283. And in overhead 283, if you could, Al, in my, if you could just focus on this. In my briefcase, there's that little gray thing that I use for the, okay. But anyhow, here, this is pineal gland hormone can reset the body's clock. And what it says here, after traveling through nerves in the spinal cord, the signal reaches the pineal gland. In the absence of light, the gland begins the production of melatonin. Darkness stimulates production of the hormone melatonin. Production is abruptly suppressed in bright light. Thank you. Okay? So this, and look what I said, understanding the hormone of darkness. And so when we have meditation then on Tuesday night, the room is absolutely dark. So we went through several scientific articles last week, if you remember, which basically said the same thing, namely that the pineal gland is active in the absence of light. It is the body's time clock, and it functions via the two physical eyes, leaving it up to you as to when you choose to activate it, other than when it does it by itself when you sleep at night. So the evidence was very conclusive, I think. So it appears that the pineal gland of the brain is suppressed by bright light. It appears that it's not active in the light. Another word for the pineal gland, and you can look this in a scientific Stedman's Medical Dictionary, the pineal gland is known by another word which people in religion are very familiar with. The pineal gland is also known as epiphysis. In religion, we have holy days called Epiphany. It means enlightenment. If you look in Stedman's Medical Dictionary, you'll say pineal gland. It tells what it does. It says also KKA epiphysis.
Everything is a play on words. Etymology is such a key to our synchronization, our puzzle of rebuilding the truth of ourselves. So to know, if you truly want to know what the story is telling you, you have got to know etymology. You've got to know origin and the creation of the word, what it was originally intended to use, the origin of symbols and things like that. Big part of this whole process. So if you're not familiar with etymology and how it's used to cast spells over us, to withhold the deeper meanings, the occult meanings. And occult just means hidden, secret. Please, no, I'm in a cult. We know who the cult is. We trust me. Your government and church. Well, those are your mafias and your cults. Okay, not this guy who dedicated his life to try and helping you from the basement of a church, because they wouldn't let him do it on the main stage. I mean, this is within an actual church, if I'm not mistaken, and they have to do their things in the basement. And he probably had to beg for that. So, yeah, etymology, huge.
If the pineal is epiphany, if the pineal is the pineal that Jacob referred to in Genesis 32, if it is the single eye that Jesus referred to, then wouldn't it seem reasonable that when meditating to make contact with the supreme light being you know as God, one would stimulate it when it was most energetically reacting, which would be in darkness. So what is interesting about this is the fact that the light, which is God, according to the Scriptures, is darkness. The light and the dark are the same thing. In order to see the light, you've got to activate the pineal, because the light that you're going to see is invisible and can't be seen. Okay. What the heck is he talking about? Watch. If you have, for instance, let's look at this way. Here you have God is light. But it is light that cannot be seen. Okay. It cannot be seen. So it's ultraviolet, or a form of light that is even beyond the spectrum that we understand. But it's an invisible light. So your pineal gland could see it in the darkness, because it's not the kind of light like this is light, all right?
I'm sorry, I'm picturing God going like this right now, John Cena style. You can't see me. Like, I am light, and you can't see me. Just like, yeah. That's so funny. I'm sorry. I'm just a goofball here. Lighten up. Have some fun. It's my crazy, not yours. Deal with it.
So here then you go into the darkness, because you're going to try to activate that gland which can see this light, and you open the pineal. And here then the pineal is able to see this light, which is no physical light at all. It's electromagnetism is what it is. Okay? So in order to see the light, one must activate the pineal gland, because this light is invisible and cannot be seen with the physical eyes. It can only be seen by that single eye. So since we can't see in the dark, and the light, which is God, cannot be seen, it would mean, ready for this one, that the light is actually the dark, and the dark is actually the light. In other words, here I'm standing here in the light. You all can see me. But I cannot see the light that is God, which is invisible light.
And don't we know that this world is inverted? Everything is inverted, right? Everything is inverted, right? Did you hear what he just said? He said, I'm actually the darkness. What? Come on now. People are going to get freaked out. Oh my God, that's Satan. That's devilish. That's Luciferian. These are the same people that think because they go 1 hour a week occasionally, even if they go every week, even if they go 3 times a week, they think that is their salvation. That that they don't have to do any actions, that they don't have to truly live the teachings, they don't have to love thy neighbor. So many people are judgmental and look down, and they're not charitable. You know, they're driving their name brand cars and living in their little communities, and the words are right there. And just ignore them. They want to make excuses for it. Don't know what to tell you. It's all right there. You got so many teachers that have tried to explain it. Philosophers, teachers, scholars, I mean, whatever you want to call it. Science explains the same thing. Quantum physics. And the religion description of spirituality, the same thing. It's a belief in the unseen, the invisible. What's invisible? It's telling you it's invisible. God is invisible within the darkness. Quantum physics is telling you the same thing. String theory, the whole thing is based off of the invisible particle, the invisible dark matter, the invisible dark matter, the darkness, the invisible dark matter, the invisible darkness. Are we not putting these together?
Can you? Look around. So I know that in order for me to see that light, I should be in the dark, so that the light receptor, which is the pineal gland, would see that. There are several scriptures that are significant when considering this. Let's look at overhead B47 for a minute. Look at this. Psalms 18:11. He made darkness his secret place. Okay? When you pray, enter into your closet, shut the door, and pray to your Father, which is in secret. Whoa, wait a minute. You see two words there that are very similar? Secret and secret. Pray to your Father in secret, in his secret place. Where? In the darkness. Meditate in the darkness. Look at Amos here. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. To what end is it for you? The day of the Lord is darkness and not light. And again, shall not the day of the Lord be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? Why? Why does it have to be dark? Because the pineal gland becomes active in the darkness. And Jacob says, I have seen God face to face. You see, and I did this again last night. You may not like that. You may say, I want to meditate in the daytime. Go ahead. And I do too. Go to the beach. And it's 250 degrees and the sun is shining and everybody's sweating to meditate.
Oh my God, he just predicted climate changed right there. Did you hear that? He predicted that right there. Man, 250 degrees? The government wishes. Yeah. Look, there's different levels of meditation. It's all dependent on what you're trying to accomplish. Yes, you can meditate and balance yourself. Do some breathing exercises, center yourself, get your energies in balance. Absolutely. But if you are looking to connect for the deeper answers, if you are looking to, see God face to face, then this is what needs to be done. There is a process. There is an alchemical process that you just can't cheat. And some people say, "Well, I could go take some DMT." There's some pretty strong references about people trying to, steal or cheat to get into the kingdom of heaven. This is the way. This is the way.
Go ahead. And it's a beautiful place to meditate. Meditate about the family. Meditate about your health. But you're not going to make contact for a particular reason that the pineal gland is going to be closed down in that bright light. You've got to do this according to the way nature says to do it. Maybe the church doesn't like that. Maybe the pastors don't like that. Maybe the priests and the rabbis don't like that. But that's irrelevant. Because this is evidently the way that the light likes it. You're created that way. Remember what we said last week? I don't like to use my mouth to talk with. I don't think I have to use my mouth to make sounds with. I would rather talk to you like this. And so here I go. I make contact. I make contact with you this way. Well, it doesn't work. I have to use this whether I want to or not. You have to use the pineal gland in the dark if you want to make contact with this light. So there we are directed to understand that the darkness is the secret place of God. That when we pray, we should enter the secret place, which is obviously darkness. And that the day of the Lord is darkness, even very dark, and no brightness in it. And we have developed convincing evidence that the pineal gland, which Jacob noted when he saw God face to face, is active in the dark. Look at overhead B8. And in overhead B8, it's a little difficult to see, but here it says, Genesis 32:30, I have seen God face to face. That means he has come face to face with this light, and Jacob called the name of the place Peniel. And it's in the Scriptures. Now let's consider another factor with anatomy and the pineal gland of the brain. I want to show you overhead 10, and I want to show you, which is a brain. It is. You want to see, did you ever see an angel? Turn it upside down. Okay, there's your angel. Okay, I'm going to turn it back there. But let me show you something here which is interesting. The words I want you to look at here, if you can come up a little bit, okay. The ventricle interior, okay. Can you come down here, Joe? Okay, right there, okay. This is talking about the third ventricle. Its sides are formed by the optic thalami by a delicate band of light fibers, the stria pinealis. You see that right there? Stria pinealis. S-T-R-I-A-P-I-N-E-A-L-I-S. Stria pinealis means straight line from the pineal. The straight line from the pineal. Okay, so we got a straight line from the pineal. Now if you lift this up, which runs along the junction, blah, 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 to join the pillars of the fornix. You see that? Okay. So we have the pineal, and from the pineal we have a straight line which was stria pinealis, and it joins at the fornix of the brain. So there's a connection there. The word fornix means vault, and it is connected to the constellation word fornax, which means furnace. So here we have a situation in which the pineal gland of the brain receives the fire from the solar plexus, which is the place of the sun in your body, which runs up the spine, impacts the pineal gland, which is the light. The signal or the fire is then sent along the fuse, which is the stria pinealis, to the fornix or the furnace, which lights the furnace, and according to the Scriptures, the three, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, then are joined by the fourth. Well, all of that is mythology, and what it's saying is that when the fire from the solar plexus rises in meditation, impacts the pineal, it follows a fuse which is called stria pinealis to the fornix or the furnace, and there your physical, your intellectual, and your emotional are then joined by the fourth, which is the spiritual. So the whole basis of all the stories and all of this stuff happens based on anatomy, based on what goes on inside of your body, based on what goes on inside of your head, based on what is the connection between all of the things in the sky. You've got a single eye in the sky. You've got a fornax in the sky, because the same thing happens in this great brain, which is the universe, as happens inside of you. There's a very strange verse. So you see this? You see the fire, pineal. You see the straight line, stria pinealis, and you see the furnace. Okay? There's a very strange scripture that shows up in Genesis chapter 15. And it doesn't mean anything because, well, look what it says. And it came to pass that when the sun went down, and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning lamp that passed between. did you ever even consider, probably you've never even seen this before. But could you ever understand that this is mythological statements of symbolism, dark sayings, talking about the activity inside of your brain and what happens to bring you enlightenment, what happens to bring you healing, what happens to bring you eternal life? You talk about eternal life. The doctors and the scientists are now talking about when they have this DNA all corrected and mapped out, people living 300, 400, 500 years. And so then...
And what was the genealogy in the beginning, Genesis, documenting hundreds of years of life? Like, but wasn't Noah supposed to live like 600 years or something like that? Yeah. Have we been fooled? Have we been used and abused like a bunch of cattle, working in someone else's farm to build someone else's kingdom? We should have been building our own kingdom this whole time. And it starts the pineal activation. What a world we live in, huh? It's time to take it back.
There, again we have the fact that this smoking furnace that delivers you, that brings this angel of God, angel of light to you, the fornix of your brain is touched by the fire, the burning lamp, the pineal gland. When? When it's dark. So you got to do it this way. I don't really care where you do it. Go out and sit in the car at night, or go in the bathroom, turn the light off. Do it for a few minutes. So the text indicates the location of God or light to be in the dark place. Now remember something. And consider this. This third eye, this pineal gland, is not privy to the Bible or to the followers of Jesus who spoke of the single eye. You remember we found it in the text in Overhead 233? You remember the text of Aridamus? When Aridamus entered in, it was the eye of Horus, the all-seeing eye of the gods, in the temple of the living God, and there the eye opened. So there was this ancient Egyptian text about that single eye, which we've seen in the sky. Let me show you what I'm talking about. When I talk to you about the star, Eta Carina, sending down angles of light to touch you with the pineal gland, let me show you a carving that they found on the wall in the ancient temple in Luxor in Egypt. Take a look at that. There's the star. Eta Carina, is it? There's the angle of light. And look at where it's impacting. So they knew. And we lost it. People shouldn't be, Uncle Joe or Uncle Don or Aunt Tilly or mother or whatever died at 70, 80 years old. They're kids. They shouldn't have. But we abandoned all of this. And we replaced it with stuff that nobody has ever proven one iota about and has no basis in science at all. This has a basis in science because of the fact that right now the National Aeronautics and Space Administration is talking about photons and optical computers between the brain and the sky, which they say is the future of space communication. So in other words, these people who drew that have been fulfilled by NASA. The churches that we have up and down this highway have been fulfilled by nobody. And then, of course, we had Overhead 260, which talked of the eyes of the white head are diverse from all. Above the eye is no eyelid, neither is there an eyebrow. This eye is never closed, and the two are converted into one. All is right, there is no left. And then the wise ever behold the highest step of Vishnu. This is from the Kabbalah, the ancient Hebrews. This is from the Hindus, in the eye of Vishnu. And then, my goodness gracious, have you looked? Have you looked and see what your Hubble has? I mean, you're paying for Hubble. Have you seen what they took a picture of? Take a look. That's the astronomy picture of the day. The eye of the Hourglass Nebula. Forget Vishnu. You can't deal with Vishnu because it's Hindu? Okay. Forget Kabbalah. You can't deal with it because it's Jewish. Forget Aradamus. You can't deal with it because it's Egyptian. What are you going to do with this? You paid for that. And that was taken by, and when I had that surgery done on my eyes, I went and I handed, we put this in a frame, and I gave a copy of this to the surgeon who operated on my eyes, and he looked at Joan and I, and he said, this is a human eye.
Again, a lot of disinformation out there. They play a disinformation game. They put, truth and deception side by side. So do not confuse the ability to travel out into outer space due to your beliefs on firmaments and electromagnetic fields or whatever the case is. Do not allow that. Okay, and yes, they have tons and tons of fake pictures out there. Tons. And that is probably done so those who wake up on that journey start to question anything that might be real. So I'm just saying, it could be a possibility that there are some real photographs of space discoveries and then a lot of malarkey. It could be possible. I'm just throwing it out there. But don't let any of that discourage you from the things that do resonate with all of the synchronicities elsewhere in all the other cultures. The scripture itself telling you to do these certain things. If you are a believer, then listen to the text. And don't get confused in NASA's a Satan organization, this, that, and the other. Trust me, I know. Okay, I know about our cosmic egg, the Lord of the Rings. I get it. Trust me, I'm there with you. Okay, I'm on that boat. We're on that boat in this maritime law world, sailing together. Merrily, 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 life is but a dream. Remember, this ain't real. It's a dream.
Bingo. Who could better tell that's a human eye than a guy who takes them apart and puts them back together again? If your eye be single, your body will fill with light. Look what is up in the sky. And people will say, well, I don't know if I believe that. I could care less whether anybody believes it. All I can do is be God and use the words of the late, great Humphrey Bogart. Here's looking at you, kid. And so it doesn't make any difference. We had better start to get with the program because look who's coming to dinner. And if you look here, you not only can see the eye, but you can see the nose here. You can almost see as if somebody's looking through a keyhole at you. And they are. Uh-huh. And so here it is, all laid out for you. I got to show, because there's some people here that weren't here last week. I got to show you something. Let me show you let me show the scriptures first, Joan. Right there. Yeah, that's good. That's great. Let me just show you this real quick. You think the eye is something? I set my bow in the cloud, and it's going to be a covenant. I will bring a cloud. The bow shall be seen in the cloud, and the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will remember you. And the use of the bow, and he has bent his bow like an enemy, and the white horse and had a bow. And here's the latest picture that was just released by NASA. What do you think of that? We better wake up, folks. And you know what I loved about this? NASA painted in an arrow to show the direction of the energy, and they painted in a green arrow. And you know what's also interesting about that? If you look closely at it, it looks like a brain. And you know what NASA says this is? The most bizarre thing they've ever photographed with Hubble. They said it is a cosmic crossbow. But what can you do? It doesn't make any difference. People don't care because my church doesn't believe in that. That's obvious, but I mean, that's not the point. The point is, it's time when you're going to have to choose. I had to abandon religion because I wanted to find God, and that's my job. Now, the point here is, according to NASA, if you have electrons in the pineal gland of your brain. If the electron is stimulated, it will respond to the photon. Now, don't let that get you screwed up in your head because it's very simple and it's nothing to screw you up. Very easy. A photon is an angle of light, you used to call them angels of light, coming down from above, and it's a messenger particle. That's what science calls them, and it impacts you at the pineal gland of your brain. But you've got to activate that pineal. You've got to do something. If you don't, then how are you going to get the message? Let me ask you this. If the mailman comes to your house and he puts the mail in your mailbox, are you going to sit home and say, well, I know there's mail there, but I'm not going to the mailbox because my pastor doesn't believe in that?
When you want to drive a car, there are a lot of things that go into it right before you get to take off, right? It's got to be put together. It's got to be filled with all the proper fluids. And then at the final step, you got to turn the key, right? So we have to do some work. We got to put in some effort to achieve liftoff, right? Everything in life that is worth anything takes effort. And the greater the achievement, most likely it's going to entail greater works. What's greater than rediscovering your purpose, who you are, why you're here, where you're going, where you come from? Those kind of confirmations to me seem like the greatest discovery, achievement, work that anyone could ever do. And it's not hard. It just takes discipline. And that is hard for a lot of people. It's not physically demanding. You don't got to go out and buy anything. You don't need other people to help you with this. You need yourself, a dark room, patience, repetition, and that discipline. You put all those things together, you're going to be very, very surprised at the outcome. Give it a try.
Of course not. You're going to go to the mailbox. Well, you're going to go to the mailbox? Because you've got mail. Did you ever go to America Online? You have mail. You've got mail. But you know what? Unfortunately, you're not picking it up. And it's piled up in there.
Told you it was old.
And some of the mail, some of the messages in there are how to overcome things that have been coming against your life that shouldn't be. But you've got to pick it up. And there's nobody can pick it up for you. Don't forget, you're not allowed to go in somebody else's mailbox. Let me just show you something. Let me show you overhead 266, page 1. And we're getting ready for a special guest in just a minute. I just want to show you something. Here, okay? This is from the National Aeronautics and Space Agency. I don't use New Age stuff here, and I don't use religious stuff here. I want people that know what they're talking about. And I have found in both of the other groups I have problems. Okay? So I'm talking about the pineal gland. There are electrons in your pineal gland because there are atoms. Okay. So you want to stimulate the electrons in your pineal gland to receive the photons, which is the messenger. Is that possible? Bring that up a little bit, Joan. Here's what NASA says. Photons of light, okay? Photons can respond to electrons. I don't want to hear anything from anybody else. I don't really care what anybody else says. I know there's electrons in your pineal gland. I know there's electrons in your body. And I know that photons are angles of light, which are messenger particles. And NASA has said photons can respond to electrons. Now, how are you going to stimulate the electrons to get that photon to respond to it? Angels of God, messengers of God, responding to things that happen inside of you. And this shouldn't frighten anyone, because all the time I've been in church, you know, you see people like this. Or they're kneeling down and they're going like that. What are they doing? Really, what are they doing? They are trying to make contact with God. Something is going on inside of their head. Sometimes they take and they put their head in their hands, or sometimes, whatever they're doing, they're trying to make something happen inside of their head. Well, now we see how it's done. When an electron is active in here, it invites the photon. Now, since angels of light or God are light, it would seem reasonable till we take this into the darkness and stimulate the pineal gland. The question is, however, is it possible to stimulate a part of the body? Can you do that? Because if you can't do it, then Jesus is saying if your eye be single, you can forget that. I'm going to turn that off. Al, if you got a chance, you want to turn this light on. Is it possible to direct desire to a particular part of the body and get it to do something that it's not doing? Specifically, would it be possible for you and me to stimulate the light receptor of the body, the pineal gland? Because if it is, then NASA has told us we're going to attract the angels of light. Is it possible? Now, Al Bianchi has been coming here and joining us as a part of this family for many years. In fact, Ethel and Al first showed up at the back door of Gordon's restaurant. We used to do that in Gordon's restaurant. We used to do this in Gordon's restaurant. And Albert and Ethel came in one night and, you know, been coming ever since. And Albert contributes immeasurably to this. Okay? Well, I was at a wedding with Albert last week, and we were talking. One of the things I've talked with about Albert, because he had a stroke. And so he has a paralysis on one side of his body. Once you go,
Okay, so this next part of the video, which I'll go ahead and skip past, is just a personal testimony from a gentleman who had a stroke and talks about, he basically goes into how you can use the power of will and repetition to fix things, motor skills that he was told he wasn't going to have the ability to speak anymore and things like that. So obviously he speaks, and you know, obviously he's got a little you know, it's not a stutter, but you know, he's got a little bit of strain on his voice, but it's, I mean, you can understand him perfectly fine. So again, it talks about, you know, he talks about the ability to, you know, stimulate a portion of the body that was supposed to be dead to him now. So that's where he was going with this. Can you stimulate something through thought and through repetition? And you know, so his buddy Albert gives a testimony about how he was able, through thought and repetition, to reprogram an inactive portion of his body, which is amazing. So that was the video tonight. We're gonna end that video there. I think that gives a great starting point into the deeper meanings of the Bible and its connection to the pineal gland and our anatomy and us being electromagnetic beings. How we have this energy inside of us, the Kundalini, which again I have started making videos on this channel here at Temple of Truth. I don't know how they do that. Click the video. You see them in the YouTube. Click the link right here. Maybe I'll figure that out and put a link to some of my videos. But I can also put it in the description. I will have a link to this video from Bill Donahue and his channel, so that way people that want to continue to dive into his work can do so freely. Again, my goal here is to try and pick a video every night that kind of gives us a deeper understanding of all the different things that go with our temple, healing our temple, connecting with God, source, the universe, whatever you want to label it as. Keep your labels. I really don't care. We're all you know, relearning. So, you know, whatever you're comfortable with, that's fine. It's about love and growth at this point, without ignoring the fact that we have a shadow and that we, you know, we do have, we do have our flaws, right? We're not perfect. We're not Jesus yet, right? We're not the Christ yet. We're all working on getting to that point. Oh my God, that's blasphemy. He said he's going to become Jesus. That's not what I'm saying. And if you know, you know, and if you don't, we still love you and we'll be here with you if you want to hang out. So that's where we're at. Yeah. Tonight was the first night. You know, I had a few people just kind of pop in and stare at me. But hopefully we'll get some people as this channel starts to grow to join in the conversation, to, you know, ask questions, and to have kind of like a Q&A afterwards, and, you know, continue to grow together, guys. I love you so much. I hope this video catches you. I hope you continue to seek out great information and great wisdom. And again, keep an open mind to everything. Remember, everywhere there's deceit, there's usually a lining of truth. So keep your eye out for the truth, and work on the eye that matters, guys. My name's Jeremy. This is Temple of Truth. You can hit that like button. You can hit that share. You can hit that subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Leave me a comment. You can find me on Twitter, Discord, Facebook. You know, all of those platforms. Just look in the description. Find the link. Send me a shout. Let me know what's going on in your life. Let me know if there's anything that I can help you with, because I am trying to focus on being someone who is service to others while healing myself, and trying to get myself in a position to reach as many people as I can. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for checking us out here. I hope to see you guys again soon. Take care.